Hello again for the next video of the tutorial. So in the end of the last video, I said we're gonna do the impact particles, but they need to be affected by the car fire. So we're gonna do the car fire first. Okay. So let's drop down a new geometry node. Let's call this car fire. Car fire. Go inside. And let's bring in our retimed car. It should be on there. Where is it? Car retimed, render mesh. Okie dokie. And now what I'm gonna do is that let me see if what I'm gonna do is the way that we usually do it in the industry, saying the simulated world origin if the things are moving too fast to avoid certain issues. And also, this is going to give us a good advantage for the GPU solver because our container will be slightly small. So the way I'm doing it is like this. So this is my cached animation, right? Let's say. Now I'm going to pack this guy. And I'm going to say, to wrangle, I'm going to say, you are always at the origin. Okay. But since this is packed, it's just going to go in the world center, but it will keep doing its simulation. It will keep play its deformation. Okay, now I'm going to unpack this guy. And now I have access to geometry. I'm going to put a time blend if I need to do sub-steps. So, in between frames, I will have information. Now, what I did is that I want to kind of say where I want to have fire, right? So I'm going to select some of these upper parts. So I want this guy here, but let's do this I thing so we don't select true, but only we select what is hit by the mouse. Okay, so I want this part to be on fire as well, and this, okay, and this, pretty much the outer layer, okay. Now I'm gonna hit tab and group. Where's my group? Okay, and now I have this selection group. If I blast just to see what it is, to see if we did the right selection. Where is it? Too many groups. This is group 1. No. This is group 1. This is also group 1. What's going on? It didn't select properly. Or is this stuck? Okay, let me create a new scene view. Just to rule it out. Oh, okay, so it was stuck. So this happens sometimes in Houdini. So this is the parts that I want to set on fire. Okay, so that works. Let's give it a name. Let's call it source. Just don't need these colorations. Now I'm gonna delete actually or blast everything else. Source not selected actually. Why is this keep doing it? Delete not selected. Okay. Now I'm gonna scatter points. Okay, and I don't need illustrations, and I can animate this. All right, so now if we maybe put a higher amount of particles. Okay, now let's add a little bit of an attribute noise. It's just another way of doing WOP and adding turbulent noise. This is pretty okay to use as well. It's just a simplified version, and it will. Is it swimming? It's hard to tell. Yeah, it is swimming. So if you need to make it not swim, that's where you need to probably plug in a rest attribute, location attribute. I guess that's fine. Probably. Let's see if there's rest. There's rest, and if you put a rest, then it will stick. Okay, let's make it stick. Now I'm going to drop an attribute wrangle. I'm going to say, you know what? I want to keep certain colors. Maybe let's adjust the values first. I think it's default. I left it at 1, I believe. Yeah, I didn't change anything. Okay, let's say keep source, and let's type in. Now what I want to do is I want to say if my red color value is less than 0.65, delete the points. From myself using point number. Not ptr num, pt num. Okay, so it's gonna kind of leave me this pattern, right? It's based on the values. And then I'm gonna say, let's get density to be equal to, let's see, the x, not density, and then let's say f at temperature, just another way of creating these attributes at cd.y, semicolon, and f at burn equals at cd.z, semicolon. Okay. Now, do we have, oh, because this is coming out, actually, is there a velocity attribute? We should be having a velocity attribute coming from our original geo. There isn't. No, I guess that's okay. All right. We will play with the wind if we need to. Let's drop in our attribute randomize. Add in a little bit of velocity randomization. Normal Gauss. Okay, so we have some random velocities. And I think finally we can drop in a volume rasterize node. Volume rasterize attributes. And I would like to use density, temperature, burn, and velocities to be sampled. This is obviously way too big. Voxel size, let's go 0.02, and particle size 0.02. Oh, this is too much. I should have changed the particle size first. All right, there you go. Let's put in that color here. Okay, so this is our source. Good. Now let's drop in our GPU solver. So which one is this called? This is called the, I believe, PYRO Solver by default. Okay, and now I'm going to change this to minimal. And I'm just going to make sure that my container size is optimal. So something like this. We just want some fire, which is not going to spread to the sides as much, but it's going to be going backwards a lot. So let's do that. And I think that should suffice. Now my voxel size is 10 centimeters, so pretty big. And let's set maybe the start time to 45 because we're not going to see it before anyway. Okay, for testing purposes, let's just press play, see what happens. And nothing happened. And why? Let's have a look. Now my voxel size is correct, my time scale is correct. All of this is off. Oh, sourcing. Okay, yes. We would like to source from 45 until 140. And I don't need this to be cycling. So if I press play again, Houdini crashed. All right. Do we have the file? Yes, we have the file. So let's open up Houdini. Let's get that folder. Okay. And put on manual. First, let's try the crash recovery. And it wasn't found. Okay, I'll be very upset if it's all gone. Temporary, Houdini temp. Today is 13th. Okay, looks good. Let's go save it. Where we need to save it. Actually, it's good because we need to give it a name as well. So it's going to be 5 car fire. And let's go to frame 45. So this shouldn't have caused the crash. Maybe it was just I don't know. It's not that complicated at the moment. I didn't expect it to crash, to be honest. Let's put back the background to dark color. Okay, let's press play. Please don't crash. All right, cool. So it's working. Now, what's not working though is there's no wind, there's no nothing, right? So we kind of need to start shaping now the car, but we also don't have we also don't have the what do you call it, the collider at the moment. So let's do that as well. So from this unpack, we have the geometry. So let's drop in a VDB from polygons. And we did this before. Here we're going to put it to 0.1 is fine. We're going to name this the collision. And we're going to bring in the velocity, but we don't have a velocity here. So that's fine. We don't need, it's just going to collide. Goes into the second input. Reset. And let's go into collision tab and say frame range. And I want from 45 to 140, and I don't need this to be cycling. All right, so now we have collider as well. Don't crash, okay. Now we have some fire that doesn't look like fire, so let's improve that by playing with the attributes. So bounce is fine, boundary conditions is fine. We don't need to do anything here. We can go into sources to match the settings that I have. So density, I put 3. Source scale, actually, I think it starts high, it goes less. So I believe I start really high around source scale. Where is this? This one is called source scale V scale 2, which is this one. I think it starts from 4 and then kind of goes less. But I'm not gonna change that now. We'll see real-time playback. Okay, so it's better. Okay, continuing. So the flame, it's, I'm gonna leave this to you, however you want to make that work. Let's press play. Okay, so the only thing that is missing is now the wind, obviously. But let's keep playing with the settings. So let's go to fields. So I'd like a really fast dissipation for this one. It's like a strong fire. Okay. And cooling rate, probably something high as well. Okay. And we don't need to do any of those. Can we put more? How, maybe control fields. Can we make it shorter? Okay, it's making smoke now. Okay, this will give it a little bit more interesting feel, I believe. Let's try. Okay, so smaller the control range, higher the fire. So if I put a 10 here, it's getting colder. So let's leave it at 1. Okay, now if I move to shape, I can start playing with my, I think I'm going to leave the buoyancy to 0.2 so it doesn't go up as much so quickly. Now I'm going to change my disturbance to the values that I previously set. So I put this to 40, I put the roughness to 0.75, I put the density to be 0.1, that's the threshold. I'm using speed, 0 to 1. Okay, let me go, let's see this one now. We're gonna add the wind soon. Is it because, okay, let me put this back. Maybe I want a bit more. Let me see. Not yet. Oh, did we turn on the speed field? That's something we need to check because we're building this from scratch. I believe that's something we need to turn on. I'm still kind of getting used to the PYRO Solver as well. I used to be a big fan of, oh, there you go. I used to be a big fan of the .NET and custom stuff, but I think this works pretty good now. Okay, so this is working. So if it's speed, I want 1. Okay, so it's a bit more broken up now. We still haven't changed the resolution. Stop this. Actually, I'm gonna turn off the. I just want fire. I think I'm gonna turn off the emit from flame. Okay, that's a little too crazy, but now when we add the wind, it's gonna make sense. Okay, let's put the turbulence on, and I'd like something like this. Turbulence of 2, but 2 meters of swirl size as well. Okay, it's all gonna come together once we. Let's increase the resolution a little bit. Set it up, maybe 0.5. Okay, these may be too much. We'll keep playing. But the good thing about the GPU solver is that, it's pretty much real time. Back to fields. Sorry, back to shape. Turbulence is fine. Max octaves. I left it at 4 to get a bit more life to it. Set to temperature, 0 to 0.1. Okay, close this. Now go to shredding. Turn on shredding. So I left shredding and I put 10 as well. And I make that work on temperature, default values. I believe now there's no wind. Where do we add the wind? Because I have the wind working for me. Should we add the wind? Because just going backwards. But no, I believe I added wind in my scene before. Let me double check. Was I feeding in the velocities? Distribution maybe like this. I'm just double checking my other scene. No, I don't have wind. Awkward. Well, let's add wind because it's going backwards. But how come? Doesn't matter. We'll just do it now. I want this to blow backwards. Oh, actually, I believe I did it inside. No, I didn't do it inside also. Okay, the forces are here. No. Okay, well, let's do it the oh, my other screen is trying to calculate. Don't calculate it from manual. Back to Carfire. Okay, so we want this to go backwards. Actually, you know what? Let's do it right. So we have a traveling car that is here, right? And I have the velocity here. I'm just trying to make sure that I didn't skip something. I do have velocities in my other scene, but are they random? They're random also. Okay, let's add the wind properly. So I have the car packed here, right? And I have the car at the zero position here. So now if I have the trails up here, right, I'll get a single velocity that is traveling in a certain direction. Now I can get these values, and then instead of going backwards, because I want to blow the opposite direction, right? I am so instead of like if the car is going plus which axis plus z axis, I want wind to blow in the negative of that vector, right? So then we can simply go into the wind direction section here and say, so you know, let's put this here. And then I can use a point expression. I'll say point, okay, go to trail one. No, not here, here. To rail one. Okay, and then as soon as I put my quotes, Houdini is telling me what to do. So I would like to get the first point numbers velocity attribute for X component. Okay, so if I do that, let's go to a frame where we have a value. I should get the similar value that I'm seeing here, minus 0.088, right? Minus 0.0. So then all I have to do is go and get the Y component, which is going to be 1, and then go get the Z component, which is going to be 2. Okay, now, however, this is the direction the car is going. So because we are simulating the world origin and the emitted flame is supposed to stay behind, so we simply put a minus or give it a reverse wind speed. Now if I put 5 here, let's see what happens. That's too much. Okay, let's put 1. Still too much. But that's the idea. Let's go 0.1. Okay, now it's blowing backwards. Okay, but not strong enough. Let's put 2. Car comes to stop. Let's put maybe 3. The car is going up and the car is coming down. Okay. Now, how do we put the fire back onto the car? Now, what I'm going to do is something different now. I'm going to extract, because the car is not deforming, so I don't need to deform the geometry, but I can do an extract transform node here, which is going to look at a source file and the updated location. So the reference geometry is, I believe it's going to be after it's unpacked. So we have the geometry, access to geometry, and target geometry is where it's still unpacked, but it's so it's like animated unpacked, static unpack, which is supposed to return me a point with orients, or I can use, you know, match these as well. but that's good enough. And now, simply put, I just have to use a copy to point. Because Houdini knows what to do with this. And now if I look at the reference, and now we have a fire that we simulated in the world center. Oops, not in reverse. And it's extremely fast, and that's the whole idea. Now, one thing I don't like is what it's doing, obviously. So we really need to get this improved, and we can do that here. So what's not working? Actually, let's save this because we had some good progress. So there's too much noise after it comes to stop, and that's coming from one of these fields, obviously. So if you go on the shape, turn off disturbance. Definitely disturbance is killing it too much. Maybe put a 20 here. Okay. How is that looking? Yeah, it's not bad, but maybe something to do with the speed. Okay, let's put this 40 and let's play the speed settings. So what if I put 5? Okay, it's a bit more reasonable, I think. What if I put temperature and put a 0.1? Now this is, I'm not a big fan of how this is working right now. Let's put it back to speed. Then let's put a 2 maybe. No, it doesn't have enough detail once it's in the air. Okay, so let me turn off turbulence for now. See how much that's contributing. Okay, so I guess there's one thing we can do is now not everything needs to be procedural just because it's Houdini. So let's just key this guy. Okay, so I want this to be more tamed once it's on the ground. So that would be, I believe, let's see. Let's make it a bit more, maybe 5. Okay, that's more like it. And that happens when it's gonna be like this, let's say, keyframe, and then somewhere down here, we want actually just when it's landing, right? We crashed again. This time it's good to be saved. Okay, let's go back. When you're in GP mode, don't scrub too much. Okay, waiting for Houdini. Here it is. Crash recovery. This is now. Yes, it is. Yes, please. Okay, and let's save it as well. Car fire. Yes. So we're keying this, so I'm gonna put this to stop, and I'm gonna look here. When is the car coming to stop? Boom. So frame 85, we can start transitioning, I guess, and see how it feels. 85, we want 0.25. Okay, go back to first frame, turn on the render flag, and that's not updated. Is this not keyable? Oh, I didn't key it. Shoot. 85.25. Key. Go back. Auto. Press play. Okay, so now it's crazy. Okay, it's a bit too late. We want this guy to be around. So what is this? 85. Let's do this 87. Let's try. Okay, press play. Okay, now we continue and we're going to take a cache node from one of the other areas like we did, firewall. Okay, and then we're gonna go back, put it under in case we want to change things. I'm gonna keep it that way. And I'm gonna call this carfire sim carfire sim. And while we're at it, let's change that to $us as well, so we don't have to worry about the name. Okay, back to PYRO Solver. So in the original sim, I did this at 0.1, but I'm gonna now double check if this is okay. Go back to first frame, auto. Okay, there's a little substepping issue there. Let's fix that by increasing the substeps to 2. Obviously, it's going to be slightly slower, but this is working. We just have to double check. Oh, there's still some issue there. And I think we can definitely reduce the wind a bit more. And in the wind, I mean the wind speed. Maybe it's 2. Let's try again. All right, our car is on fire. Dun, dun, dun. And if you look from here, look from the camera, and go back to the first frame. Where is it? Oh, because it's in cache. Pause. And around here comes out from the flames. Okay, so the other thing that I want is that I want flames to lessen themselves. So we're gonna key the amount of the sources here to kind of gradually decrease. So here, I guess 0.2, I don't know, 0.5, commit, go back to the first frame. Just gonna increase the resolution just for testing. Auto update, press play, and it gets, not like this. Let's try the burn as well. I think we didn't key that one. Sourcing, come here, and go here, and maybe go 0. Actually, you know, I'm gonna put this to 0. And keyframe commit, go back to first frame, press play. Okay, cool. Where are we now? Now we need to cache this, right? Before we cache, actually, there's a little cleanup we're gonna do. What am I doing here? If you want to play with the, I guess, the settings, what I'm doing, actually, you know what, we can do this while we're rendering too. Let's get the, let's put some firewalls. Okay, let's get these guys so we can optimize our cache out of the box as well. Carfire. Okay, I want this to be here. Oh, actually, there's one thing that I ran into because we're positioning this copy to points, and I think that the position values of voxels are not actually getting updated. I had huge problems trying to match the position of the fire, and if I rendered this guy from here, it would with Redshift actually render here, here the original cast position. The only way I kind of got that working is basically like this, and I found that by trial and error. So first, here, this is not a VDB, right? So I want to convert this to VDB. VDB convert. And I'm fetching the temperature here. For example, I can do with the other things as well. Okay, and now what I'm doing also is this third input is the mask, I believe. And I'm creating a mask with the temperature field as well. Now I would like this to be converted into VDB. Okay, rest is same. I'm not even sure why this is working, but it is working. So now what I'm doing here is I'm gonna delete the density. Do I have density here? I do, right? Because I'm only interested in fire. Okay, let's actually go back to first frame, auto update, go here. All right. So I'm only interested in temperature here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plus the density. Okay, and duplicate this. Actually, I don't need to do like that. This should be okay. This was a different thing in the other scene. Do I have the materials here? Yeah, I need to get rid of those for sure. Okay, we'll try a different method from the other scene. And actually, I'm gonna cache this here. So how fast is this if I kind of slow down my sim? But that should be okay. So let's put this in. I'm gonna save and I'll try to crank up the resolution. And we'll try to save it. Let's hope it doesn't crash. It seems fine. Oh, there's one important thing which we forgot. Because I'm caching to 140, and I'm gonna put like a 0.3 here so we can have a look, is that I'm actually simulating this one with a time scale of the retime node. So if I go here, I'm gonna copy this guy. No, not this one. Is it the time? Yeah, actually, where did I get that one from? Did I put the keys? I think I did key it. And let me have a look. I believe I was testing it in a way that, so from frame 83, right? I wonder if the retime will work, because last time it didn't work. So I did two tests. Firewall worked with retime during the render. However, the car fire was flashing, and that could be due to the transformation I was doing there, but let's try it out. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to cache the low res one in its proper place, but I'm going to cache it to 100 if I'm going to retime this. No, I can't do that anymore because my source is retimed. So I'm not simulating with the unretimed car anymore because it slows down after lands in and it's doing its own thing slowly. So which means we have to animate the timescale. I'm simply just gonna test it out in a bit easier way. So it lands in and then probably goes really slow. I think it can go to 0.5 maybe. No, 0.25. Let's try this. And let's have a look here. Okay, the only thing that I don't like is the source seems a bit too constant. So I think we need to play with our noise a little bit. Maybe element size. It would be nice to have more gaps. From what I see, the last thing we also need to do is to key the turbulence size, I think, because once it's slowed down, now it's becoming a little too jittery. Okay, so let's do that as well. Put on manual, go here, keyframes, set keyframe, go here, and then go to maybe 20. Okay, let's try again. Okay, now I'm gonna go here. Maybe we need some density as well, but we can play with the shader after. Okay, let's cache this out. And let's see how this is gonna respond. From point one, don't crash. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna hit save to disk. Oh, we need to do it to 140 because retimed. Save to disk. And I'm gonna come back once this is done. So let's pause the video for now. Okay, now the caching is finished. And this is the result. Obviously, it doesn't look much here, but let's now create a new node called Carfire Render and do our little test, object merge into this object. Put this guy in here. Let's go in firewall render. And let's get our PYRO bake volume. So this is how we want to render, except the retime. So last time we checked, this was fairly close representation, but we cannot play. Where's my fire? Oh, it's there. It's just not as much visible. Okay, let's go here. Now let's play with our settings. Okay, so let's turn the scatter off, I guess. Is this, what is this layer? This is density, I believe. This is not density. Okay. And why are we not seeing this as much? Okay, let's have a look. Why is this leaving so short? Okay, let's test it out from here. Let's give it a shader and let's call it Carfire. Carfire, and we're gonna go to, this is okay, object merge. So like we did, yes, in the previous lessons. Let's go into mantra, take list. Let's create we can duplicate this one. Copy, go to main, and then paste. And then let's call it Carfire. Select this node, change its take to Carfire, and instead of fire render, we're gonna use Carfire render. And for testing purposes, for now, we're just going to force mat the car, retimed car retimed. Okay. Now we need to assign a shader, which we don't have. Firewall, let's give it Carfire name and assign it to our volume cache. And it's gonna be, where is it? Carfire. Okay. Out context. Select our node, render view. So this should render fairly fast, so probably nothing is gonna come out meaningful out of the box. Just this. Okay. Now let's go into our shader because we don't have the CE, and that's probably what's happening right now. Okay, basic. Multiply with temperature. Maximum this. We do have temperature field. Black body maybe a bit too much. Okay, so this is gonna work, except we can play with the, oh, let's do this actually. If we go look at our spreadsheet and our values, so temperature, is density is 4, so let's remap these. 4 and 3. Okay, so that's a bit cooler now. We're gonna check the alpha. Okay, RGB. Okay, so now maybe let's make okay. Let's put the okay. This one is too thick. Let's put the because we copied the shader, so the absorption coefficient was 10. So this is at 1. Okay, what if I want to use color ramp? No, because this is the color ramp. I want to use black body. So for this scenario, this is working. Let's stick to it. Now, what if I want to see more? Then I can play with simply these settings, right? But what if I want to add a bit more detail? So let's kill this render and let's go into PYRO bake volume. So I want to understand why this doesn't work properly. And is it because it's looking for other layers which maybe I don't have? Oh, there you go. It was the masking. Okay. So let's start from scratch. Okay, so let's put a little bit of a density. That's fine. Now let's turn off the smoke. Actually, smoke is multiplying. Oh, it's probably somewhere it's multiplying. If it's on, it's kind of like clamping the fire. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's play with this guy. So let's put a 10 here. So it's colder. Let's put the mask on and let's kind of go back to defaults to see if this is doing anything. It is cutting it a bit too much, maybe. Okay, let's turn off masking. This is not going to make much difference then. If I do this 4, or this is not really going to make a difference. Well, I guess I'll leave this to your likings and then see how you want to proceed. But I thought I could use, I don't wonder why this one doesn't work like it did for the wall. Maybe because of the density. Okay, let's turn this off. It's not gonna do much here. Um, okay, so we don't really need it then. Actually, let's give it a try. So this one is now writing out CE. Let's go back to our shader. Say CE replace. Maybe we'll like that one more. And it's completely gone. Maybe put 10. No. Okay, well, this one is not that complex. And I think the default is going to work fine. So maybe we just render this guy here. Oh, that didn't actually work because I'm not supposed to render from here. Redshift doesn't like that. I'm supposed to render from here with the CE now in the shader. Let's try that again. Learning something every day. Okay, and replace, hit render, and okay. It's not really doing much. Well, it's not doing anything at all, actually, so we just don't need that one. Let's go back here, delete this guy. Okay, this is our car fire. Now I'm gonna stop the video and we're gonna do the impact particles next.